So rather than going to the store, looking at the bottles, whichever one has like the fanciest branding or whichever one is shilled by the best influencer, we're actually trying to make this an objective game where the compounds that have the best evidence for life extension are the ingredients that get included in the end product. It sounds very simple, but it's crazy that nobody's really doing this. And so
I want to pause for a second to appreciate the data set that they have here, because the tokens, the idea is that the compounds that can extend life in these animal tests the most will be the ones that get the most attention, right? Because it's a game to own the compound that is king of the pill on each different animal tier. And so far they've had 5 go through worms, the C. elegans studies. And you can see here that URO was a 6% boost in worm lifespan. Then we had ART here up 20%. We had EGCG plus sulfane up 16%. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these. And then we had Glycosi, which actually killed them at a 5% rate. And then we had RIF, who increased it by 32%. So nobody dethroned RIF in this new launch, but we have 17 new compounds that will have the chance to dethrone RIF. But now going into the flies, you can see that RIF actually had a negative 27% life expansion on those flies. We have 3 more chances here to dethrone URO from the flies. And so if one of these 3 can do it, then you get a massive, massive boost in those tokens' attention, and thus probably the price of those tokens, right? They're all super small, super, super small. I'm gonna take just a moment to go over here and show you guys the list of them. We have the pump science molecules, 5 of them. The RIF and URO, which are king of the pills in their respective categories right now. And then we have ART, EGS, and Gaussy. So ART was the best of these 3 new ones at the worms, followed by EGS, then Gaussy. We'll see with the flies, because you saw very clearly that URO barely did anything to the worms, but was really good at flies. RIF did really well with the worms, but didn't do good at all with the flies, and then neither did good with the mice. So there's also the chance that they'll get outperformed here.
So many of the compounds that are released by other products and other top products in the market are just ineffective. All right, so what is next? Well, I'm very excited to announce for the first time that we are launching a ton of new compounds.
Woo!
Thanks. So prepare yourselves, the compounds are coming. At the end of the day, we're not going to make any new discoveries unless we launch a ton of compounds. And yes, this is just going to look like a massive token factory, but really what it's all about is helping us live longer. We have to wade into chemical space, see what works. We're going to tokenize every single compound that comes through this funnel and let them all duke it out in the arena. And so the first group of compounds that we're testing is in partnership with VitaDAO. They ran this program called the Longevity Prize. And the Longevity Prize was basically going to all the community members of VitaDAO and seeing who has ideas for what could potentially extend life, and submit your compound into the arena. And so we're basically tokenizing these and launching the experiments on Pump Science in the hopes that we can do further testing on all of these great ideas submitted by the community. So we're launching 17 now. The goal is to launch more in the future and eventually make the entire system permissionless, to where there are no gatekeepers, there's nobody stopping you. If you can get a bunch of people to help fund your idea, you can run it. And so look, we get this is probably pretty overwhelming. Ton of new compounds, random names, which ones work, how do they work, how do I pick? Well, I think one important thing to note is that if you look at meme coin traders and crypto traders in general, they're much more sophisticated than I think meets the eye. It is much more than just ooh, doggy coin ape. It's actually a lot of looking at leading indicators. What percent of the supply is held by the top holders? Are the wallets who have all the tokens related? There are actually a ton of really, really smart traders who are in the trenches trying to predict which tokens will crank, right? Which will increase in price. And I think at the end of the day, all we're doing is just creating a new class of tokens with new leading indicators that are just scientific. And our goal is to work with a bunch of meme coin traders and convert them to this new class of tokens and see if they'll get on the ride with us. And look, if there are leading indicators that are predictive of which tokens will go up in price, they will find them, and we're here to help them find them. So, but to make the whole system easier, we're kind of creating 2 game modes. One is easy mode, one is hard mode. Easy mode is you hold the tokens that perform the best. So rifampicin and urolithin A are what we call kings of the pill. They increase the lifespan of the respective animals the most. And so whoever holds those tokens gets airdrops of all the future tokens that are launched on the platform. And so this is a way for you to not have to pick which ones will work and which don't.
You catch that? Do you catch that? Whoever owns King of the Pill gets airdrops of all the future launches to come. Big.
But just collect a small amount of airdrops in each. On the other hand is advanced mode, which we're calling hunters. So the whole game is hunters versus gatherers. And the hunters are actually trying to seek the next king of the pill. They're trying to find the one that will dethrone the prior. And so at the end of the day, the whole game is find the compound that extends life in the animals the most. And so if you do, then you get to claim all the new airdrops.